Hello, everybody. I just wanted to like to take the time to thank the viewers who are tuning in to watch this amazing panel where I'll be talking with Yu Ying, Gary, Charlene, and Charity about the ups and downs of being or was a senior during COVID. I just want to remind the viewers that we all have our own opinions, our own point of views. So I would like to remind the viewers again that these are our panelists and their opinions, their point of views, and their experience. So we would like you guys to respect what they have to say. Um, all right, guys, let's start. If we could just go down the road and just introduce yourself, how old you are, where do you live, and did you graduate or did you not yet graduate, and what do you want to do when you do graduate or did graduate, and are you going to college or university, and what field you guys are into? How about Charlene? Let's start with you.
Hello, my name is Charlene. I am 19 years old. I already graduated high school. I am currently attending Mankato State to obtain my bachelor's in political science.
Awesome. Uh, you want to go, Gary?
Yeah, so name's Gary Tao. 19, live in Minnesota, and I graduated last year from North Branch High School. Right now, I'm taking taking college classes at Century College. I'm taking that 2 years for my generals, and my major is law enforcement.
Cool. Your Yang.
My name is Ying Lo. I am from Wausau, Wisconsin, and I am 17. I will be turning 18 on 24th of March. And after high school, I would like to attend Madison Area Technical College for associate's degree in firefighter and paramedic. And after that, I'd like to transfer to a University of Oshkosh for my fire science degree. And
Cool. Charity, you want to pop in with your awesome blue hair?
My name is Charity Yang. I am currently 18 years old. I live in Sacramento, California, and a business or like something I want to do after graduating is go into the film industry as well as learn business economics.
So, just a general question to you guys: how was it growing? The great thing is we're all in different part of the United States. We have California, we have Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So, um, How was it growing up being Hmong? Was there any positive and negative side effects of that? Did you guys ever felt like you didn't belong or you want to switch ethnicity? You want to start, Charity?
In my opinion, like I grew up around a group where is populated by Hmong people in the Sacramento area. So I didn't really feel like I didn't want to be Hmong. But then there were some times where I would be in a place where there's not many Hmong people there. And then they would ask ethnicity I am, and I would say I'm Hmong. And then they wouldn't think like, oh, what is that? So sometimes I would think that I wish like I was much more of like ethnicity where people are much more known of like Chinese, Japanese, Korean.
Any other panelists want to jump in? Your experience of being Hmong? Uh, Gary?
For me, I moved a lot. So growing up, I went to different schools. So I didn't go to the same schools as my friends before. So elementary to middle school to high school, all three different schools. So I experienced a lot because in elementary school I had a whole bunch of Hmong friends and a lot of more American friends and stuff. And then middle school, same thing. But then when you're moving to North Branch, you're not very much populated with Hmong people. And same thing as Charity is that they always ask me what Asian I am. They always think I'm Chinese or I'm like Japanese, Korean. I'm like, no, I'm Hmong. They're like, what's that? I'm like, well, Hmong Hmong people, they don't have their own state or where they came from. They come from different places. So it's very hard for me growing up to understand that. So growing up now, I'm still trying to learn about it too. So
So North Branch is pretty much farmland in upper Minnesota.
yep.
So how about Yu Yang or Charlene? Do you guys want to jump in on your experience of being Hmong?
Yeah, when I was younger, I lived in a very white predominant area, so I wasn't able to do things like I was able to. Well, I guess like growing up, I guess it reached middle school. I wasn't able to go out or do things that my colored friends were able to do. So I just wish I was in Hmong. I wish I was like white,
Yeah.
because they got to do things that I just couldn't get to do. So yeah, it
No, I
was
mean, I
hard.
totally feel that because I went to a college preparatory school in Minnesota, and a lot of the high schoolers there, I mean, a lot of the kids there was pretty much like adopted or in a richer bracket of life because I grew up in the projects and went to an expensive college preparatory school, so a lot of them their parents are doctors and lawyers and politicians, and so I do understand how you felt. Did you ever do you come from like a traditional family, or do you come from is your family like the new age, like go to
They're like a mix.
okay.
So they're very strict on us girls, but they're also very new age too, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. I mean, we'll touch base on that a little bit later about patriarch, but that's awesome. How about yourself, Yo Yang?
I also hung out with Hmong people, but then this year not really because of the COVID. So like I'm basically by myself this year.
So with that said, was school this year hard for you guys, and how was like distant learning?
Distance learning was hard for me because I will have to like multitask and like babysit and do online schooling. And the hard part was like sometimes I'll get distracted and
So you kind of have to like be the mother and the father at the same time while your parents are trying to make sure they pay the bills, pretty much you're saying.
yeah.
How about you, Charlene? How was your experience?
When I was last year when COVID started, I did lose a lot of motivation, but the only thing that was pushing me was that I was so close to getting my diploma, so that really pushed me. This year with college, I actually like distance learning. A lot of things changed, like our tests and our quizzes. It's open notes, so it's a lot easier, and communication isn't that hard with my professors. They're very kind and understanding that with the whole COVID thing, it is very challenging. So yeah.
How about Gary? How about Charity? How about yourself? How was your experience?
Well, my experience of since last year, since we didn't get to finish off high school as a senior, it was very like hard and difficult because like that's one of the things from freshman year that you look up to is finishing off your senior year with your friends and everything. So for me, it was pretty hard because school was the only place that I saw all of my friends at once, unless it was like out of school or like someone had a bonfire or something, and we all went to go hang out. But um, I did lose some motivation to do some homework stuff, and like my grades dropped a little bit. But yeah, I had to push through because I, growing up, I saw pretty much all my siblings walk and graduate high school and get their diplomas. So I knew it was my turn to do it, and I wanted to make my parents proud. So yeah.
The last year it was really difficult because I get really shy in front of the camera and I have very like bad anxiety like in front of
Well,
the camera and stuff.
you're doing
But
great
then like
now. So
I mentally prepared myself for this. That's
yeah.
why I'm not that bad or like very like bad anxiety right now. And then like sometimes I would have like I have a skin disease called eczema, and
Mm.
then my eczema is caused by stress. And then when I'm in front of the camera, it stresses me out. So then I have outbreaks on my body and everywhere. And there was this one point last year, it was so bad to the point where I had to take a break from school. Yeah, it was really draining and like my mental health wasn't that great. My motivation was kind of lost. My but then teachers reached out to me. They were encouraging for me, and my family talked about it. And like, yeah, we're going pretty good.
That's awesome. I mean, did your teacher know about that, or did your parents, or you had to kind of mention that? I mean, I understand that a lot of teachers and
So I didn't really tell anyone. So I was really fighting my own battles by myself. But then I realized that it's not really a good thing and I should communicate with others. So then I emailed all my teachers, communicate with my parents that sometimes like I get very bad anxiety where my eczema breaks out a lot and sometimes I just need a mental break. And it was kind of hard at first because they wouldn't understand like my mental health and how things affected me. But then as like time went on, I explained more and they started to be understanding.
so your advice for any kids out there that feel like they're not being heard or afraid of what the consequence might be, or people might be like, oh, she's just using an excuse, or he's just using an excuse, is to literally just speak from their heart and communicate. I mean, to the kids, to the next kid, the next juniors that are becoming seniors, you know. So is that what you're trying to pretty much giving the advice to the kids out there?
Yeah.
So what decide for you guys? What decide make you guys want to choose the career choice you guys want to choose? I mean, we could start charity since you're on the camera right now.
The career choice I wanted to choose one, the first one is business economics because I'm really interested about how the way people use resources in order to improve society. And I'm really interested about like and curious about how to improve society and how to help people of color and those who are needing of help. And my other choice is the film industry. I'm really interested about photography and editing, and it's something I'm really passionate about and something that I always do in my free time.
How about you, Charlene? What about you? Why did you decide to major in what you're majoring now? Like, what motivated you?
I chose to major in political science because starting like junior year, I was taking a government class, and from there, my interest for government just grew. And I just want to raise the Hmong percentage in political science and just make a reputation for myself.
So, what does reputation mean for you?
Yeah, I want to make my voice heard. To me, reputation is making your voice heard and being known for what you stand for. That's, yeah.
That's awesome. How about Yo Ying and Gary?
Oh, I chose firefighter paramedic because I always wanted to help people, and I didn't want a job where you stand too long or you sit too long.
How about you, Gary? What about yourself?
Growing up, I've always looked up to law enforcement officers and everything, and I know that if I need help, they're safe to go to. And I want to be that role model for other people or other youngers or the next generation to look up to. So if they need anything, they can always dial 911. And uh, um, if
Do
anyone
you,
needs a translator or anything, I can dial up. And if I'm working, I can go translate for them. So
I mean, are you because of the whole, defunding police officers? How do you feel about that? Because you're gonna really dive into, if you get into, you're gonna really dive into a new system of what the government is trying to defund the police, or trying to, be more to get the police officers more educated, or more, about different situation. Like, what's your view on that? I mean, how do you feel about what's happening in our society now, of, defunding police officers? Like, how's that affecting you?
well, I've had that talk with my parents and everything because they've always, after they heard about that, they talked about me about still becoming a police officer, and I still want to do it. Like, as I said, I want to be a role model for others, and yes, I feel like we do. Some officers do need more training, and so that they can sniff out the situation and view it a little bit better instead of going full all in and raising up, escalating the situation, and everything. So yeah.
Charlene, since you're going into politics, what's your view on that? I mean, I mean, because I think there are some bad seeds out there, and there are some great police officers out there, and then we all come from a different background where, everybody has their own prejudice or racist. Not so much of, yes, a lot of it's racist, but sometimes it's prejudice that being incorporated into racism. So what's your viewpoint on that, and from a poli sci, person?
I don't think we should defund the police. I think yes, like Gary said, they do need way more training, as we can see in the news. But I don't think we should defund them because they are there to protect us, even though some of them haven't been doing a very great job at that. But I think they are part of our government, and they are there for us to protect us. But yeah, but they do need more training.
A Charity or Yu Yang, you guys want to put some thoughts on that?
Can I add in a little bit more?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so agreeing with Charlene, it's me myself. I worked as as a security officer, and I worked next to law enforcement officers. And working next to them, it's way different than going out and just seeing them, because then you learn more about them. And yes, there are bad cops, but I feel like there's more good cops than bad cops. But bad cops make the good cops look bad.
I mean, that's part of our history where it's like,
Yeah,
it's like when, even now, it's like when on social media, we tend to focus more on the negative, than focus on that, the positive, and just us being Asians, it's like we don't we don't see a lot of news about the positive Asian cops, until that one incident
yeah.
that, and then pretty much it was a target on all the Hmong people back, so uh Charity, you want to add something to that, or you're good, or
I don't really think that we should defund the police, but there are some attributes where all the funds shouldn't go to the police system. But then there are some talks about if you don't fund the police or if you don't fund the places to help the police, then there won't be enough resources to educate the police. But then there should be some options to educate more extra hours to like educate the police, because there's this comparison where a hairdresser or a stylist gets more training hours than the police has, and that's not really correct, and that's not something that should happen. That because basically a person's life is in the hands of the police.
so was high school hard for you guys? I mean, since you guys know what you guys kind of want to be, so you guys kind of like more excel in a certain subject, but what was it hard for you, Yoye?
Yeah, especially when
Before
we
before COVID, before COVID.
oh
Yeah.
everything it was all right, I guess. I mean, some classes struggled in, but then I got some help on it.
So how did you get help? Did you like ask your teacher, or was it what they were willing to help you, or were you the first person to, reach out to them and say, look, I'm struggling, I want help, and I want to do better, but I just need to have a different learning experience so I could actually comprehend what you're teaching me. Like, how did that happen to you?
Yes, I just reached out to a teacher that I trusted the most, and everybody learns different, and so he had to like sit closely next to me and like be right there
Hmm.
instead of like being at the board and teaching and just listening. Yeah, that's how I learned.
How about you, Charlene?
Before COVID, I high school wasn't very hard for me. I feel like I was always on top of my work. I didn't procrastinate as much. I I've always studied like in a group with my friends, and whenever I needed help, I was very open to ask questions and answer questions from my friends or just peers that needed help. Um, High school before COVID was definitely way better than high school during COVID. Yeah.
Besides being there and having friends with you, encouraging to keep doing better, or being competitive, like, oh, I'm getting a B, you're getting an A, I'm getting a C, like what was the difference? I mean, like, like how did you navigate through COVID and comparing before COVID and after COVID? Like how did you navigate through it? And what advice would you have for the kids to that are going to graduate, like people like Yo Yang and you know Charity? Like what advice would you have for them to like encourage them to continue going?
Yeah, when it comes to communication, it was a lot like before COVID with high school. It was communication was a lot easier, but during COVID, it was a lot. It was still easy, but it was a lot harder because they didn't our teachers or my teachers, they didn't really give us their emails or their phones so we can text or call them whenever we need help. So that was definitely something that I struggled in, and I know that many of my other friends struggled in. I they my Some of my teachers are like just the teachers that my friends had. They weren't very clear on the like when it comes to homework or assignments or projects or whatever we had. They weren't very clear. I'm sure they were struggling on their end as well. Something that I An advice that I have for Charity and Yang is that you guys are almost there and you guys can do it. And it's super close. It's like literally, I don't know about you guys, but for us over here, it's like a month and a half away for the high schools here the seniors here to graduate and get their diploma. You're gonna feel so good once you get to wear your cap and your gown and take pictures with your diploma. It's like the biggest relief off your shoulders, like the best feeling ever. Yeah.
How about Gary? How about yourself? Any advice for Yo Yang or Charity? And
Yeah, 100%. Like, push through. You got this. We're all here for you. If you need anything, like, just contact anyone that you trust. And same with Charlene. Once you get your cap and gown, it's such a big relief. And like just wearing it, you're like, I did it. Like there's a big old smile on your face the first time you put it on. I know I had a big old smile when I put mine on. And when I received my diploma, I was like, whoa, this is, uh, it's just unreal. It's worth it. It's 100%
I
worth it.
mean, for you guys, it was because you guys are going through this battle right now. It's such a like the struggle, and oh, this is like a golden ticket to the next level. Like, I mean, for me, it was like, oh, just another piece of paper, because I came from a different era, where it's like, it's like it made my parents happy, and them seeing the diploma, and for me, it was just like, okay, piece of paper for it's like a take a step to go into college, or to go to the university, which it was great, but how about you, Charity and Yo Yang? Like, what advice do you guys have, and what was your experience from before COVID and now COVID, and to the kids that are coming after you guys that was going to be seniors next year? I mean, I understand that we are all slowly are getting vaccine, and the world is coming back to normal again, but we're not 100% sure yet. Like, what advice do you guys have for the next group of seniors?
Before COVID, I was like a very good student. I kept top of all of my classes. I had A's, some B's, but I was still like motivated to be in school. And after COVID, my motivation was lost, like many others are experiencing and stuff. And one thing that like I would like to have for seniors is like get yourself out there because you never know when the chance is gonna be it again. Because sometimes things only happen once in a lifetime. Even if it happens multiple times, that means you're getting experience. That means you're exposing yourself to the world. You're getting more knowledge, and it's a really good thing to do to mature and like just be prepared for the world.
How about you, Yo Yang?
Before COVID, my grades were pretty well, and I was the student that went to school every single day. You never missed a day of class. And after when COVID hit, we had to go virtual. It was pretty hard, and like I could do everything, all the assignments, but then getting help was the only thing that I was struggling with, because because I prefer people helping me in person than virtual, because it's harder virtual, and babysitting and trying to managing online schooling and babysitting was hard.
Just piggybacking on that, did you guys ever through this whole, all this time, like ever got to a point where you felt, depressed and the world, didn't understand you, even though they were going through the same thing as what you're going through? And how did you guys overcome it?
For me, I never talked to my parents about how I was struggling and stuff. Then I knew that I had to keep on pushing because education was the only key to success.
Charlene, you want to kind of dip some thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, there are times when I live with my mom. So there are times when me and my mom we would get into it because we see each other every day, and like just because like I'm living at home and everything's online. Like yes, I do have schoolwork. That doesn't mean that like you can just assign me home chores to do. Like I'll do it after I'm done with my work. But yeah, I'm very expressive with my love to my mom. She's like my rock. I love her so much. So it's not very hard for me to express my daughterly love to her.
And when you say you live with your mom, like, was it your mom a single parent that raised you, or
Yeah.
how is that? Like, not having a father figure, or if you did have a father figure for a hot second and didn't have it, like, for the kids out there that might be going through what you're going through, like, what advice do you have for them? And
My mom, she has done so much for me, and when I was like still like when I was like 13, 14, 15, I didn't appreciate her as much. I was going through my teenage phase where I didn't care. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, whatever that made me happy. But now that I'm a lot older and I see how hard life is and how hard you have to work to earn things, I appreciate her so much. And I feel like because I'm a lot older, we can connect more and we understand each other more, and I understand her.
what about you, Charity and Gary? Like, what?
So, like, okay, so the schedule is for my schedule. I wake up at 9 a.m. to go to school until 3 p.m. Then I have work after 3 p.m. And then it's until like 7 o'clock. And after I come home from work, I'm like isolating, getting mentally prepared for the night. And I'm like getting ready for bed and stuff until 10 p.m. So I don't really see my family as much. And it's kind of hard because like we don't spend time as much as we did as when we were together, like before social distancing and like COVID. And it's kind of hard because I'm a very expressive person, and sometimes my parents don't understand like what I'm going through and stuff, as well as I'm very close with my parents and stuff, and they're very lenient, which I'm very like 100% grateful for everything because not many people get the opportunity to have parents who are lenient and understanding. And from this generation where they like every day they're learning new things as well as we are. And sometimes it's a little struggle because like in my personal opinion, the second generation, like you, Doa, like you guys are constantly learning from the first generation where you guys came from and the third generation where technology comes in and understanding and equality and understanding the new generation.
No, I totally agree. I don't understand TikTok, so I get it. I have no clue what TikTok is really about. Did you? I mean, like, did you? Because you don't really have like this. I guess because of most of it was like because your love for your family that after school, after work, you come and you have to quarantine just because you know who you associate with to might be passing that to them. Like, did you ever felt like you were just alone and stuck and just like you just want to see them but you can only see them at a distance, and that hug or that that kiss on the cheek, or or like did that affect your emotion, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, because at work, like, you're exposed to many things, and I'm kind of scared of spreading it to my family and stuff. So after work, I would like immediately shower and like wash my clothes and just try to like strip like anything that I can contain or even pass on to my family. Because even though they're not vulnerable to it, there's still a chance where I can spread it or I can even get it. And I don't really want that to happen to anyone in my life because it's really hard to like for
But
anyone
it
to
does
experience that
happen,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And like I still do the same things like I hug my mom, and I still do like physical things with my family and stuff, and still like have fun together. But it's just a little bit more cautious, and we can't go out as much, and we can't have like family time where we go out and eat out. And then sometimes we would go on picnics, but then we would have to social distance and then be cautious, or like we had to wear masks and stuff, because if you don't wear masks, there's like judgmental people who's like, oh, they're not wearing masks. But then sometimes you don't have to wear masks when you're eating and stuff. And it's just all controversy, like, oh, you're not wearing a mask, so you're the bad person here. Or you're not wearing a mask in public. For a second you just put down your mask, but people always like judge you if like you're not wearing a mask. And sometimes I understand when people say they don't want to wear a mask. And like my personal opinion, I always like to wear a mask because I want to keep everybody safe. But then there's also people with different opinions where they just feel like they're suffocating in a mask, or they have health conditions. And it's okay to put the down a mask a little bit, but then you should always wear a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
But I
about
got a
you?
little bit off topic there.
No worries. I mean, that's pretty much what we're talking about, is about COVID and your point of view of COVID. And, that is the one of the biggest question that people, are talking about, debating about, is mask or no mask. And, because there are some asymmetric and people that can't, I mean, they have it, but they don't show symptoms, that can spread, and that's what they could use that to not wear a mask, but they're spreading. How about you, Gary? Like, what about you? Like, you ever got to a point where you just felt depressed and felt pressured and tried to accomplish and get that diploma, and which you did, and congratulations, and it, like, COVID, and has it struck your family, and how did that affect you, and from now in college, and so what's your point on that?
So let's see. In high school, senior year when COVID hit, it was pretty difficult for me for online learning, and uh, I'd always wake up and just get online, open my computer, get online, and just do homework and do school. And like if I have to go to the bathroom, I'll come out, and my parents are always like, "Oh, are you done with homework? Like, can you do this for me?" I'm like, "No, I still have homework to do," and they always want me to do stuff. Like now I'm at home like 24/7. Puto kaikuan. So they give me errands to do or home chores and stuff, and they'll always ask me to take them places like to the store. They need something, even though uh, my other brothers and sisters are home, and they can do that, but they always rely on me because they know that they can trust me more.
I mean, technically, you're pretty much the tunzao, so like, so that's probably why. I mean, I'm a tunzao
Yep.
too, so it's I understand the obligation.
Yeah.
Um, so let's dive into patriarch. How do you get? What's your viewpoint on that? And this is one of the questions we like to ask everybody that we're doing panels of, because everybody has a different point of view about it, and some people, still want to honor it, but try to compromise it certain ways to for the next generation. And some people just don't want to compromise and stick with this old tradition. And some people want to just cancel, what tradition was, So, uh, Gary, what's your viewpoint on patriarch?
I know growing up, I know the sisters out there or my sisters, the girls have more like the house chores and everything. They're the ones who can't go out late at night unless escorted by a immediate family member. And I know guys have more leniency and like they can do more than girls. So I feel like our generation now, we should change that up and give everybody the same opportunity and just be equal. So whether that's doing chores at home, like let it be equal. Like if your significant other is tired and you can do it, might as well do it. And if your significant other wants to do something, do it with them or let them do it. Don't hold them against it.
Shirley, you want to kind of dabble on that?
Yeah, like Gary said, I think we should all be treated as equals. we live in the 21st century, and I feel like the Hmong society is changing so much. There's no reason for the Hmong culture to be so patriarchal. Um, because I feel like if the Hmong elders do hold the girls back on opportunities that will get them so far in life, it's just not fair. And I feel like I just feel that we should be, yeah, we should just be treated as equal as the boys are. We should be able to pursue the same opportunities and do the same chores and have this. They should have the same expectations for the guys as they do for the girls. You know, like we should all be doing just as much.
I see that there's so much more accomplished Hmong girls out there than Hmong guys, you know. And do you feel like there's that misconception of that there is still patriarchy? And because there are some people that just like to use it as an excuse, but there isn't. So like, do you feel like the generation has already compromised to the point of we're allowing girls to be educated, we're allowing girls to become a gymnastic, we're allowing girls become, you know, the first senator, we're allowing girls become doctors and psychologists and so forth. Like you see so many of them compared to guys.
I feel that to this day there are still some very conservative families. So I feel like to the women that do have like a reputation and are very known now, Hmong women that are very known now, I feel that a part of them do come from a conservative family, and it took a lot for them to break through and for them to, you know, lay down, lay down. Are we allowed to cuss on here? Yeah, they're allowed to lay down their shit and just, you know, like they're vocal about it, and they're like, you know, I'm a woman, I can do whatever I want, I'm a boss ass bitch, and if what I'm doing doesn't make you happy, I don't care, because it's, at the end of the day, you're not living my life, I'm living my life. Yeah.
So you're pretty much saying there some of these, you know, pioneers in their you know in their field are pretty much been to the convert conservative group of people. Sorry, it's like early in the morning for me right now. Conservative, what the heck? Conservative group of family that basically they push through it and try to prove them wrong. And because I went through it too, as like for me, that's why for me it's just like I know that we need to compromise from what our parents went through to my generation to your generation. But even me, where it's like I have to push through to my family and the elders are like, this is the career I want to go and I'm going to go in, you know. And that's why for me, it's like I see the struggle that the girls are going through, but trying to tell them that I understand what you're going through. Sometimes just being a guy, you get that backlash of like, I don't really understand. But I was like, I do understand because I see it how my sister went through because I literally grew up with my sisters, you know, and I see it. I mean, yes, I'm a guy, but I went through all that and I saw it, you know. So how about you, Charity?
The patriarchal system, there are some practices where men are to be head of the household, considered to be head of the household, because in past generations in general, not just the Hmong society, where men are much more valuable than women because they hold the last name and they will hold the bloodline, pass it on, make it very generations and two generations. But then there are some things that like it also comes to like systemic misogyny and then some pride that people have that some
Could you dumb what that means? Systemic homogeny. So some people might not understand what that means. Could you give it a little bit simpler definition of that?
yeah, like systemic misogyny is like where like basically people think that or men think that they're higher than women or they're much more valuable are much more important species than women, and that women are nothing valuable, or like they're just there to support the man. And sometimes like um going about like successful women is that sometimes being successful can only prove that a woman can do it. Some women do it out of like oh, I'm a woman, I can do this, and I'm gonna prove it that women can do it to encourage others. It's not that sometimes they come from a conservative background, sometimes they come just to prove that women can do it. And sometimes like in this generation where sometimes women get more pressure than what men are getting right now. Cause like sometimes a mom say, oh, you're a woman, you're female, like you're a Hmong, you're gonna go through many things that men don't usually go through. So you gotta push through it. So that's why many people like women are being successful, because they've been criticized, they've been having this bar to reach up to men, because men is basically the bar that women want to reach up or even higher, just to prove that they're worthy enough to be in society.
I mean, I mean, this question probably to you and Charlene is: do you guys feel like there are some Hmong men out there that are experiencing that same thing too, where they have to prove that that what they decide to do in their career, or just to find their true love because they identify in LGBTQ. Like, do you feel like you know there is this bias where it's like just that the guys don't experience what the girls are experiencing? Does it make sense?
Are you talking about like what guys are experiencing?
Yeah, I mean because there's the big debate where the Hmong guys are saying all men too, and that's the big that the Hmong guys are putting that in. There's like the backlash of like to the Hmong girls are saying you guys are privileged because you guys are guy. But the thing it's like I've talked to many guys that identify with LGBTQ where they're like I might be a guy, but I'm actually struggling to trying to live my life as well. But like I'm not getting that support from my fellow sisters, just because I'm part of the LGBTQ, you know, identify as that, But again, I'm being, classified as privileged just because I'm a guy. But hey, I'm going through exactly the same thing because I'm trying to find love in a guy, or I'm trying to find or be transition into a guy or a woman. Like, do you guys feel like it should be more of a situational conversation about what is patriarchal and how can we become allied to each other, no matter gender, and trying to disperse that misconception that it's only what the Hmong girls are going through, because I think all of us are in different generation and everyone's having their own point of view and so.
I think the reason why men struggle is because of like the root down to misogyny, because like past generations there's this bar where they also had to reach up to, and then even if they're struggling, sometimes asking for help in a man's point of view makes them considered weak, and a man should never be considered weak for showing emotions or expressing emotions or even needing help, because sometimes like there's a situation where the men, like for funeral expenses, where the grandma and grandpa are were to like pass away, the men are only to cover for the funeral expenses. And then if a man, or like if the man, like no matter how hard they're struggling, they would never ask for a woman for the help. And that's the thing that we need to break down, that women can also help the men. Or like as a person, or as if a person is transitioning from a woman, they will still be considered a man from the grandma and grandpa's point of view. And that's because like basically their spirit is a man, they're born a man, because I've like read into situations into that, and it's like really hard and like misogynistic, and it's not really accepting about the new generation of the LGBT community, because it's really hard to convince the older generation and to understand even the LGBT community, or because sometimes they can be understanding, but it's not enough understanding to the point where they even respect you as a human being. They respect you enough for them. They will respect you enough for you to follow their direction still and like please them. And it's not, and it's kind of like disrespectful for us as a new generation.
Charlie, you want to dabble on that?
Yeah, what Charity said is I totally agree with her. When it comes to the LGBTQ community, I feel that our Hmong brothers and Hmong sisters that are unique in their own individual way, we have to I feel that we need to shed light onto them, and we need to stand by them and support them. And um just because like our Hmong brothers, they're men, and sure they do have some privileges that us Hmong sisters don't have. Yeah, they do go through a lot. So when it comes to finding their own identity, I think that we should definitely stand by them for sure.
So what you and Charity and Charlie and you and Charity are trying to say is, you know, that all the Hmong sisters should at least listen to the Hmong brothers and understand their situation before they start throwing names out of, anger or frustration just because they're going through that with their parents or going through that with what they grew up to understand. So with Yu Ying and Gary, did you what about you guys? Like what do you guys need from the sisters to let them know that that you guys are there to support them, like the allyship of supporting them, and for them to see your value of supporting and not misconstrued it for something else of privilege. When Gary, you want to dab in that?
I'd say a lot of the guys do have more privilege, but at the same time, like yes, we do go through stuff, and it's very hard for us to show it because we are considered weak if we do show it. And for the Hmong sisters out there, that you guys can do whatever you guys want to do, dream big, and we will support you with that. Because right now, I do see a lot of Hmong women out there that are doing more than guys right now. So 100% dream big and go for it. Work hard for it. Don't let anyone talk you down.
How about Yo Yang?
But
What about you?
what I want from the Hmong sister is to listen to what we are going through and stop assuming.
I mean, that's correct. I mean, that's a great point of view. I mean, again, everyone has their own different point of view, and sometimes it's just as simple of, you know, saying that everyone's going through a lot, and like we can't mind me read everything. We understand that our exterior might show that we're privileged, but when people don't understand the struggle that each individual, no matter if you're a guy or girl or older or younger, everyone went through something and have a story to tell and have something to inspire to be, or trying to inspire somebody through their journey and their experience. With that said, the number one thing that I think that your generation are going through a lot is bullying and cyberbullying. Social media is the big thing where people don't do their research and they like to play the telephone game and kind of like and share and and toward the end it's like a new story that the person being bullied don't even know about. Like, what's your were you guys ever been bullied or cyberbullied, and how did you guys overcome that? Yo Yang, you want to start?
I haven't been bullied before, but then there's like some racist slurs about like us Asians eating dogs or like eating bats. I feel offended, but then I don't say anything and just try not to get involved in it.
How about Charity? How about you?
In the past, like in elementary school, I was I was like a bully for a little while by a person who basically thought I liked their boyfriend. I was like, why are you bullying me because I'm friends with your boyfriend? And it like I still remember it because like it made me very sad and insecure. But then as I grow older, like my heart and my mind became strong. And if a person ever did like racial slurs or even called me a dog eater or like a a virus or anything, I would call up about it because I don't stand up to anything that people say. Because what are you gonna do like if if I don't speak up on it, then I'm gonna regret it later in their life, and they're still gonna do the same thing to other people. And if they do the other same thing to other people, we don't know what's gonna happen to the other people who's not like me. And I'll talk upon about it and communicate with them that what you're saying is not correct and it's wrong, and you shouldn't like correct yourself.
But you, Charlene?
I'm a very outspoken person, so if there was something that I felt wasn't right and I felt really uncomfortable, a situation where I felt uncomfortable in, I would speak out about it or speak up for myself. Yes, I have witnessed other peers of mine get bullied. I just it's just really sad how like in the beginning they're like a really happy and they're just so like happy and confident, and it's so sad how like you just see how their confidence gets broken down just by getting bullied by another person. It's really sad.
Sometimes it's just being Asian now with like the hate crime. It's like should we talk about it or should we not talk about it? What's the ramification behind it? We do talk about it, I mean, thank God that a lot of people are talking about the Asian hate crime right now because it's been happening for years and centuries. It's just not just happening because of COVID, you know. Because us Hmong people being immigrants and being the next generation of immigrants or refugee coming to the States, some of us grew up in the projects. Someone grew up, living, in middle class. Some of us came and, already have family that are living middle class and propelling into higher class. And so the thing, it's like we're now monolithic, where it's like there's so many of us Southeast Asian that come from a different background, and we experience everything. Like I experienced tons of racism, and school it's a lot of racism from my classmate who was white, but at home it's a lot of like racism within the Asian and the Black community. Not so much of the Latino community. I don't know why, but like it was that coming from that. So I totally
Yeah,
understand where it's like you have that moment of doubt, be like, should I say something or should I not? Or because it's already
yeah.
programmed into us.
Mhm. Yeah, like I think what I was trying to say was if I do stick up for them, I feel like I would be involved and I don't want to get involved because I don't want to get bullied, I don't want them to come after me. So it's like it's kind of like a survival thing. It's like if
Yeah.
you help them, they're gonna come after you. If you don't, then they're gonna suffer.
Yeah. I mean, the Hmong, that's the number one thing that for us Hmong people is the number one concept for us to live and continue on is, surviving, because that's what we did centuries and centuries through from China to like Laos and Thailand and Cambodia and Vietnam. It's like all this journey of surviving through war after war and the war, and that's built into our DNA, So totally understandable. Like would now looking at that, do you feel your advice for kids out there who do see people bully? What is your advice now?
Never be silent. Be confident and know that you're human as well and you have a voice and you can use your voice and it's not gonna harm you if you stand up for yourself.
How about Gary? You want to add something to that?
Well, in middle school, I was bullied a little bit because I was a pretty big guy, so it's pretty much I was called fat names and everything. And this one time I tripped in gym class, and this one kid called me Timber for the rest of middle school, and I didn't like that. But I never said anything about it because I was scared that he'd do something to me, so I didn't say anything about it. And thinking back on it now, I wish I did because again, my voice should be heard and it's not gonna hurt me. So, and moving up to North Ranch, a lot of American and white people there. So I'm always hearing a lot of racist jokes and everything. And I never said anything about it either. But thinking back on it now, it's that uh, with my generation from graduating from there, uh, hearing it from my friends that still go there, there's more Asians up there, Hmong people up there, and thinking about it now that I should have said something so that that school or that culture over there can stop saying that and pretty much making fun of us Hmong or Asians up there.
So that kind of dives us into this topic that's happening around the world, this hate crime against Asian. Who wants to be the brave one and start that conversation? Like, how do you guys feel? And are you guys afraid for your parents? Are you afraid for your life? Are you afraid for your brothers and sister or your community? And from your generation, how do we, you know, come together and have that lingo from your generation point of view correctly or compromise so everyone can understand and kind of move forward and having the right conversation that it is happening and it should not be happening because we are Americans. We're Asian Americans. No matter if we're Hmong or Laos or Thai or Vietnamese or Japanese or Korean or Chinese, we're here. We're breathing the same air. We're experiencing COVID like you guys are. We graduated with you guys. We're going to graduate with you guys. We're going to college with you guys. I took driver license with your mom who's teaching me. You know, like what's your viewpoint on it, and how do we navigate? You know, from your generation.
This is a very taunting experience, and it's been going on for too long, and it just needs to stop. Like, come on, like, are you serious? Like, it's the 21st century, but sadly, I feel like this is something that's not gonna die down, unfortunately. Um, and I feel like with the Asian community, whenever like especially our elders, like whenever they do get called racist names or put in racist situations, they're often very quiet and they don't say much. Like they don't. I think it's because they're afraid because they're weak and vulnerable and they don't know what to say because some they don't even know how to speak English that well, or some they don't. They're just so like speechless that it's like, what did this just really happen to me? It's I feel like us as the younger generation, we can't keep quiet. There's no reason for us to be silent anymore. We have to stick up for our elders, and we have to stick up for ourselves as well, and our Asian people, and our Asian race.
Hop on that, Charity.
Yeah, about the elders, like they don't speak up about it because in the past they're told to like not bother if they're being bullied or being like called racial slurs because they're afraid of what's going to happen, because if they call about it the situation will worsen and they're afraid of it. And for many like years and like generations, Asians are really passive about like racism, discriminations against us because we never speak up about it, or the news media outlet never speaks up about it. And we basically have to call about it on ourselves and basically go to the news outlet, speak up about it, because it's because we're considered not really important because we're white passing, considered white passing, but then we're not really white passing because we're also people of color and also struggling racial injustice, discrimination, and racial slurs against us. And we as the younger generation should speak up on it and protect the elders because it's the 21st century, like Charlene said. Because if you don't speak up upon it, then years in the future things will worsen, or like we want it to be unacceptable in society to say racial slurs, because today people can say racial slurs and they're still passive about it, and we don't want that to happen.
Yo Yang or Gary, you want to dabble on that?
Yeah, I feel feel that the elderlies are being more targeted because they're easier target, and they're they're much weaker than we are, and also we we are the Asians and other races, we are going through the same thing, and I think this shouldn't, Asian people being targeted should not happen.
Yeah, so going with the elders, like they're more vulnerable, so they're more likely, sadly, to get targeted. And I am scared for my parents because if they do go down in cities and anything does happen to them, I'd be very mad and saddened by it because they're just going to go like like everybody else. They have groceries to go get or they have stuff to go buy, and they're just going to run errands, and it's a normal life for them. But in an instant, it can be something else where they get targeted for just walking on the street or like walking to their car or getting into their car. So it's very scary and yeah.
All right, guys, it comes to this point. Thank you guys so much for being on this panel, and I hope the viewers are inspired by these amazing four uh, high schoolers or now freshmen in college kids and their story, and just remind you guys viewers that these are their opinions and their point of view, and they have a different life experience than you do and we all do, and hope you guys respect them and to learn more about them, and also to get connected to them, and because maybe they're going through some things that you might have been through, or they're going to go to a field that you want to go into, and they might get the heads up. So reach out to them and through Instagram or their social media, tag to their website. Any last words you guys want to give to the kids out there who are going to graduate, or the kids out there who's going to get into the first year of college, and who knows, it might become a person-to-person education next, or continue distant learning. So any advice? Let's start with Charlene.
Yeah, be confident and believe in yourself.
Yo Ying.
Don't give up and keep on pushing whatever you're trying to pursue.
How about you, Gary?
You got this. Dream big and work for it. Don't let anybody talk you down.
How about you, Charity?
Get yourself out there and don't say no because you never know when the opportunity is gonna come again.
And just echoing that what Charity said, my number one thing in life is a no is just a no, and there's always a yes out there. And that yes, you have to go hustle and go find, because it could change your world. Again, guys, thank you so much for being on graduating COVID panel. And if you guys ever need anything, I'm a distance away, and feel free to always message me. And so, thanks, guys. See you guys
Thank you for
later.
having us,
Thank
Doua
Thanks for
Moua.
you.
having
Yeah,
us.
thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.